Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. As the World Championship is about to get back underway, big scrimbucks leaks from last night going on again. Sentinels are still absolutely frying at big name teams. We saw them take down some big scalps yesterday in practice. Now they're taking down evil geniuses. Is this another FNS masterclass? Is something else going on? Marved also responding to the situation as well, indicating he might well be out of Sentinels and he might not be so happy if that is the case. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, just a quick update, another kind of cinematic teaser here for this sunset map that we are going to see revealed this weekend, I believe on the Saturday. That's the same day where we will see the lower final, which could be between any of these four teams. Well, one of the lower round 3 teams will be in it, one of the upper final teams will be in it, the loser, and that's going to be played on Saturday, just when the map is revealed, this new sunset map into the game. So pretty interesting stuff. Now, Loud have also been mentioning this Fnatic series. They knocked Fnatic down earlier in the tournament, but I'm sure they could well have expected that at some point in this tournament they were going to see each other again. So yeah, that's a big series, of course, coming up just tomorrow, along with the winners finals as well. And if you were meant to attend on Sunday, you guys remember the earthquakes and everything in California. Hopefully everyone's okay from that, as I imagine things have settled down. But they decided actually on that Sunday to not allow anyone into the venue, just in case there was any big issues. And I saw some plays from Alpha that series, right? I think it was on the Haven when he was waiting in a corner. Like, that play would not have been possible if there'd have been a crowd there. So it's always interesting how the game does play marginally different when there's a crowd and when there's not, to kind of reveal things by going ooh and all this stuff when players are trying to make sneaky plays. But actually, Riot confirm that if you were meant to have a ticket for that Sunday, then it's a different venue now, right, for the championship weekend, as it were, at the Forum, the Kia Forum, I believe. Then everyone will get a refund and a complimentary ticket in addition to that for Thursday. So really cool stuff, and well, hopefully people can attend this one as well. Now, also a kind of sad update in a way, there was confirmation from PaperX head coach Alex that indeed Jinggg will be stepping away to complete his mandatory military service next year, and therefore will not be on the PaperX team in 2024. Effectively, he's going to have to retire. Look, he can come back in time, but yeah, it's sad to see, but it is confirmed now that this is a done deal, and PaperX will be looking for a replacement for next season. And this really does mean that PaperX, this is their last chance as a team as it stands, and I'm sure they can be good next year as well. But Jingg's such a great player for these guys that this is their chance to win, and I'm sure they feel that, they know that as a team, and it would be such a good storyline if they were to get over the line finally on this international level. And as I've said, they're probably favourites to do so right now. Fnatic have been looking somewhat shaky. Loud, I don't think, are at absolute peak performance. Loud, and I would not expect Loud to win this tournament as it stands. I think that one of the remaining teams will beat them at some point, and Loud have to win 3 series in a row against, you know, they'll have to beat Fnatic, they'll have to beat PaperX or EG, and then the other one of those teams to win the event. I'm not sure I see that. So I think that PaperX is in a really good spot here, and it'd be such a good story if they could cap this off with a victory before Jinggg steps away. But yeah, effectively he's going to be retiring from the game and then potentially returning down the line. But the Valorant landscape will likely look very, very different indeed if and when that is to be the case. Also, there's this Ludwig event that's been going on here, so you know, everyone's out in force. It was pretty funny actually that Sentinels said that Zoms is, because Zoms is attending this event here. There's a team that's going on, they got Baby Bay on the mic, they got Zoms here, so yeah, Sentinels say Zoms is back, but this doesn't necessarily mean that Zoms is you know, in their starting team. It just means that Zoms is here for the Ludwig Brew battles or whatever. So that's unfortunately all he's back for now, but there are serious changes going down. So certain players have been tweeting some cryptic things over the last few days, as you could well expect. This, for example, from Ardiis, back home now after this great year, full-time stream for the next 4 or 5 months. So look, obviously wasn't a great year for NRG, and if there's one man that you might expect to be gone from that team, it could well be Ardiis. Now, we believe that Ardiis was replaced with Ye for a scrim that they played just the other day, and they got absolutely fried by this new Sentinels lineup. So that might not be a great look for them, for NRG Ye, if that is to be the case, if the trials aren't going so well. But if Ardiis is now back home, I guess, in the UK, then I do wonder what that means for trialing. Because when you're playing across the pond like that, it's not going to be ideal from a ping perspective. So, yeah, I wonder if Ardiis is just going to be gone from NRG straight up and might go for for like a European team or something like that. I guess we'll see, but it's definitely a quite likely change NRG might make. There's been rumours about what Victor's doing and what might happen with FNS. We'll certainly get into that in a second. Some I would expect to stay around. So big changes, I'm sure, at NRG going forward. This, again, is our boy James of F's update of the day. And a few very interesting things in here as well, especially once again on Sentinels, who, again, are just frying people, especially good teams. Now, as I said yesterday, and I do need to clarify again, these numbers don't mean that much on Sentinels' perspective, because the teams they're playing against aren't there to win rounds in these scrims, whereas Sentinels are pretty much there to win rounds, especially if you're a new in-game leader for Sentinels. You want to prove you're pretty good, and if this game was to be played on LAN or something in a big tournament match, then you'd be in a good spot. But Sentinels, again, I mean, we'll get into the Sen stuff in a second. Firstly, though, I did want to look at some of these other screenshots. So Loud were playing against various teams, it's somewhat unclear, but there also was noted this Marved mix team. Now, James of F says the second scrum with Marved on the guard is not a trial because the coach is not present. So they played against EG, this guard and Marved mix, and they also played, yeah, actually they did that twice, actually, it seems. It was EG got the better of them both times, but this was the scrim that was noted here with guard. So we've got NRG Victor, Trent, Marved, Valin. And on the other side, of course, we've got Demon 1, Com, Ethan, Jorgemo, Boostio. So, of course, that's the entire EG team playing up against this interesting mixed guard team. Now, okay, you might think, okay, there's not much in this, but still, just the other day we saw that Victor and Marv potentially trialing with Cloud9 or something like that anyway, and now they're in here with the guard. Now, the guard boys have been playing with all sorts of players over the last several weeks, so you can't probably read too much into it. What I'm more interested in is just the players that are playing with them. It's less about who's joining the guard, if anybody is. It's more about if you're a player that is, let's say you're 10s, you're not trialing with the guard, you know what I mean? You're not scrimming with the guards because you're scrimming with your own team on Sentinels. That's how it stands anyway. So, you know, if you're Victor or Marved, I think it says more about what's going on with those players, that if they are going to say, oh yeah, boys, you want to just step in for this quick little scrim here, we're going to play EG, just a quick 5-man lineup roster, you know, you're probably only going to do that if you're actually a free agent, because otherwise you'd be scrimming with your own team that you're going to be on for next season. So, and Marved, we're pretty sure that's the case now, right? This Sentinels team has not been playing with Marved over the last few days. They have someone in as their mystery 5th player as it stands, and Victor as well, they've NRG spotted again. It might, because if FNS is leaving NRG, then that core of FNS, Crashies, Victor is obviously blowing up. So, you know, maybe Victor leaves as well, and that is the current rumour. And if that is the case, then potentially many changes at NRG going forward. But it does seem like Marved is out of the Sentinels team for sure, and it was also spotted later on again, Victor, Trent, Valin against, you know, similar, and even Marv spotted in this one as well. So, a couple of games played. Now, not a scrim per se, as James said, no coach, it seems, in the lobby, but still, I think it says something about what those players are doing. Now, again, we also have this with EG. So, we just saw EG generally beating that team with the guard and Marved and all this stuff. Sentinels have been doing it again. So this at point they're up 13-5 with Zekken, with 10s of course against Ethan, and then we actually saw, I believe it closed out to be 16-5 in the end. They also went 12-12 against PRX. They went 8-7 against Fnatic. So I mean they're absolutely like doing really well in scrims right now, and we believe the man behind this is FNS. Either it's Kaplan just having an absolute IGL masterclass behind the scenes there, or they've got some random tier 2 IGL that we don't know exists, or it's Finesse. So I think you can probably assume what the most likely situation is here, given the fact that Marved is gone, they need an IGL. Getting rid of Marved is interesting, but Pancada is under a 2-year contract, I think, so probably makes sense for Sentinels financially just to keep them around as it is. Sassy Mancada, a bit of a duo thing, and if Finesse can get the best out of those guys that Def couldn't necessarily, then that might be their solution. What does it mean though for Marv? That's one of the big questions that I have, especially when he says Cobras. I'm used to this, right? Dropping the snake emoji. Now whether he's saying this, you know, in jest, or, you know, these guys are snaking me, but still, if you're Marved and, you know, you've done a very good job for that team, but you did step into the IGL, well, it's funny really, because if Marv didn't didn't step up and say, all right, guys, I'll IGL, and maybe Sassy did, then there might well be a chance that it's not Marved gone after all, because they would have thought, okay, Marved was doing our IGLing. He never really wanted to, but he was kind of forced into it. Nobody else wanted to do it at the end of the season after they got rid of Def. So Marv did the IGLing, and now he's getting dropped for an actual IGL, really. So I'm sure Marv feels a little bit like, well, damn, if I just didn't IGL and Sassy did instead, maybe it'd be Sassy getting dropped or something instead of myself. Of course, we also get Valen here and Net in the replies, implying that maybe there was some action that day between these respective players. And it does seem like Marv, I mean, look, maybe Marv goes back to being a content creator for Sentinels and steps away and is their substitute for the season. I think he's probably now got the competitive itch back and wants it to be scratched and wants to keep going. But yeah, and I don't really think he's going to be calling out his teammates snakes precisely, but that's certainly the implication of this one, right? Now, we did also get some replies to this. We had Chet and Pancada and Sassy replying with all this, you know, can't trust my own son, all this snake stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just a bit of tongue-in-cheek action between these potentially former teammates. But yeah, if Marv has been dropped in this manner, I can't imagine that he's too happy about it, especially if he's been dropped for finesse, like you know, his former teammates over on the Optic Gaming side, where they had so much success together. Where does Marv go next? We've talked about Cloud9, we've talked about potentially NRG as an option, obviously the guards, right, we just looked at as well. But yeah, right now it is looking like Marv's probably out of Sentinels going forward, and that mystery fifth player is doing rather well, and if that continues, then probably Sentinels are going to look to lock in that roster going forwards. Then again, it depends on champions. We talked about Aspas, we talked about other players that could be available, so there's still possibilities, but I imagine right now Sentinels are going to be rather satisfied with the way things are going as it presently stands. And just to close out with this as well from Valor Intel, these are the top rated players left in the tournament. We have Aspas here, Something, obviously a couple of players from these other rosters. For example, then we get up to Leo. But the top three, Ethan, Alpha, Demon 1, a 1.31 rating so far this tournament. And yeah, he doesn't look like he's slowing down. So very much interested your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.